All right. Hello, everyone. Again, it's Chad and Trey 4L.
Trey 4L. Yep.
Yeah. So obviously, you all know how to spell Trey, so I don't need to spell it out, that part out for you. But Trey's a frequent guest, and obviously, he's working on this channel as well. So it's not like I'm the only one anymore. That's what this video is about. Why is Chad not the only one? What is Chad doing? Why is he absolutely insane? What does he really think about YouTube and the whole process? That's what this video is about. So we're going to go into detail about what my vision for this channel is and what I really would like to accomplish. I realize that it takes a few great minds. Okay, this sounds really this sounds really biased. A few great minds to make things happen. And Trey happens to be one of them. ENTJ aside, Trey happens to be one of them with a very unique perspective, and it makes me sound really biased because the other person's in the ENTJ, but it's not the objective here. As I would be, as long as I came across people that I feel would offer such valuable content and in a consistent manner, actually more consistent than me, it would actually be able to engage a lot more different perspectives. As well as Trey and I often collaborating, it makes it where it's much more convenient for us to constantly work and improve the channel and deliver the best content and be most frequent, as both of us pretty much research this stuff all the time. At one point or another, we're always using information, we're always looking at information, we're always exchanging ideas to hopefully better our education, not to ourselves, but just to you guys as well. So that's one of the angles I have with this. That is not the ultimate picture, which I will explain here in a little bit. But Trey, do you have anything to say about that?
No, that's definitely true. I'm constantly trying to learn more about this. So I mean, I think I can keep providing content.
Yeah. And so what this is it's a dual channel, and that's essentially a collaboration channel. And I've transferred it from me to being MBTV, and that's Myers-Briggs. And it's funny we named it that. We didn't want to take Myers-Briggs because a lot of the information we said, we're in process of learning all this information and deferring it to you guys, and we don't want to represent Myers-Briggs only because we don't want to do Myers-Briggs an injustice, but also our channel is about going outside of Myers-Briggs and going into the bricks of understanding your psychology. So it's very much of a satire and a humor injected into the title, and it's not us that we just misspelled Briggs, because trust me, that's not what we did. I literally laughed out loud when I heard Myers-Briggs or Myers-Briggs, and
I was like, SE moment.
Yeah, it was. It's completely stupid, but it's perfect for me because it does represent the stupid side of my personality. And did I just call SE stupid? I didn't mean that, but it is the stupid side of my personality, this particular channel. So the big vision for this channel is obviously contributing to some of the things I'm doing in the real world outside of virtual work. And that is really contributing to self-development and professional development and being able to understand your role in the world and through contribution, which I've had in several different videos. And it's not just me. And I want to make sure that everything I build is never just framed around me. I know all these brand identity experts today talk about everything is about you, the you.inc or you Inc. or you Incorporated. And I never wanted to do that. I want to remove myself from being the leader of this group and in more focus on, it's not about me, it's about the big picture. And that's what part of this purpose is to remove me from the picture of being the only deference of information to other people. And I don't want to create followers that follow me. I want to create people who, and tap into people who really see the power in themselves and move themselves forward. And I think by getting the focus and lens off of me all the time, it really helps change things up and offer a unique perspective where people see something more than just an individual, which is one of the other reasons why I'm very likely to keep it the way it is and not really alter it. And like I said, more content from different minds. It takes a few great minds to really make something happen and not just one person. Trey?
Most definitely.
Most def. So yeah, that's the angle with the panel, and just to keep
supposed to say.
Yeah, I didn't know if you had any input or not, but I kind of just called you out like, Trey, damn it, say something. So but I do want to talk about a few other things that while we're on this particular Hangouts, and I mean that is the direction of the channel. That's all that it really is. If there's any other questions or things about why the channel's moved in the direction, we can always answer that. Trey and I both can look at comments, and we both have same access to this channel, so it's not like you'll be speaking. Make sure you address one of us, because it's very likely he'll be able to come across comments too. And if you're talking to me, you might want to name me on the channel. it's also helpful to send me an email, which I put in the about section on the channel as well. If you want to shoot a personal message to me, if you're shooting personal messages to YouTube, you could get Trey or a monkey in the grass. Nobody knows what you're going to get.
We both have Chad and Trey at myersbriggs.com. So
yeah. So their emails should be on the channel. If they're not, I'll make sure to do that right after the video. Those are blatantly obvious so that you guys can contact us individually versus commenting, talking to one of us directly. Now, if it's a video I post, it's more likely that I'm going to scour the comments. If it's a video Trey posts, it's going to be more likely that he scours the comments. But again, we will make sure the channel is properly moderated and keeping morons out. No, I welcome all opinions, but
unless you're a troll, please leave.
Yeah, yeah, it's pointless. There's things to do, better things to do in life. So welcome to Myers-Briggs, everyone, and I hope you guys have an enjoyment in the ride and all the crazy stuff that we have planned with this channel, and it's going to be a blast. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to be able to get some awesome information to you guys. And it's going to include not just Myers-Briggs, but it's also going to include Enneagram, and it's going to include psychology, and it's going to include other random rants that we go on. And I'm telling you, Trey and I have rants that I think people would literally put us in institutions if they heard some of our rants.
yeah, I think
so. So that's why I'll try to keep it professional as possible and make sure that you guys are getting good content, as well as not getting our personal subjective bias on everything, unless you guys specifically say, what do you think about Miley Cyrus? And then it might start this huge rant, and we're going to not do that today. But it doesn't mean that we hate her. It's a lot of the depictions. As us, we're intuitives. We don't look at what is. We look at what's beyond, and that's what it represents. And we have issues with certain things that are along that. And I'm not talking about the star. I'm talking about the issues it represents are bigger deals. Who cares about the star? I mean, no offense, Miley, but it's not about you.
Because she's totally watching this video right now.
Yeah.
She's offended.
She's offended, and she can call me out if she wants, but it's not about you. It's about the world around you and impacts that you make. And it's not even really probably her fault in the first place. There's probably the record label and everything else knowing how to market her appropriately and doing it right, where she's now widely known. So I don't know if it's her personal or not. I don't know, and I don't care.
We don't need to talk about Miley, Chad.
Yeah, we don't. Again, they can start a random rant. But you know what? It's funny, when I mentioned her, our viewer count went up right now. So
that's awesome.
Donald Trump. Okay, we just got a double amount of viewers. We should keep this up. Just start throwing stuff around, But as far as conditions, the Myers-Briggs TV, I'm going to get used to calling it MBTV, Myers-Briggs TV, is also designed to give you guys a round perspective of the way that we see things. And we encourage disagreement because I think conflict actually leads to greater understanding. What I don't encourage is trolls or people who are disagreeing unprofessionally, or they're doing it in a manner which is not appropriate. And that's where my issues come with trolls and people like that, because we're not going to hear you if you act like an idiot or you act disrespectful to us or any other commenter. That's the way it is. I just don't respond to crap like that. If you address a disagreement in a professional way and you do it in a way that's professional, I will respond to you in the most professional manner, and we can keep it mature and adult-like. Otherwise, I'm either going to delete it or ignore it or just not respond, because I just don't waste time with stuff like that. I got too many other things to do. So speaking of which, I've got this huge stack of papers. That's all Myers-Briggs stuff I got to go through.
Oh man.
And all of it is, and it's quite a big stack that I've got to make sure that we're getting everything done, and we're doing it on a schedule that we can get. I mean, we still got 7 other functions to cover and 16 types to cover, a minimum, and not to mention the rants that we have in between about status of society, the condition of the internet, and all other things that I think are seemingly important in the world.
It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and there is no rules on this channel, which means that as far as our content goes, it can go left, right, up, down, who knows. And that's what makes this really, really exciting, is just there's really no limitations other than the rules that YouTube places on us, like you can't do that, which I don't plan on running around nude, so I don't think that's going to happen.
And just remember that we love you guys, and we'll always be here for you guys. And because this is a channel where there's 2 ENTJs who obviously have a dominant preference for stealing.
I can't handle that. I had to disconnect. Yeah, I had to disconnect. That was just too much. We love you guys and all that. Just two ENTJs. I didn't even hear what you said, but look, our viewer count's going up. I don't know what's going on here. The dumber this gets, the more our viewer count goes up. I don't know why. Is it entertaining? Who knows? But man, that's cool. Probably we're gonna get some trolls here in a minute. Maybe it's grade butt under dick. What is that guy's name? What was that guy's name?
That was it. It was grade butt under dick.
What a brilliant name. That was a troll we had on this channel a while back. But yeah, so spirituality is also another thing. And it's not so much religion, like, hey, organized religion, but that's another topic that we're going to try to dive into and try to get a very objective standpoint. I was talking to a democratic socialist today, which is obviously, if you know any of my videos, I am definitely more on the capitalistic side, and I'm also more on the Republican side. So I was talking to one today, and we had a very mature conversation, and we were able to actually find out that this is really exciting. We're actually able to find out that we have the same core philosophy under all the bull crap, the same core philosophy, and we actually realize that we agree on pretty much everything. So when you can filter out the biases, and you can filter out the dislike for another party or another group of people or another demographic or another class, and not just in the sense of politics, but in the sense of gender or race or socioeconomic class or the car you drive or whatever else category you use to group people, what you'll find out is that there is usually a lot of common ground underneath. If you can remove those biases, then it can make any conversation that you would see as impossible actually come to terms, I think. Now, granted, this person is an ENFJ, so they both have the same, well, we both have the same middle two functions. And so we're able to see very, very much the big picture, and we both realize the implications of what's going on right now and what problems it creates. If this person was an ESFJ, it probably wouldn't have went as smoothly. It probably would have taken a lot of work on my end to try to get to the underlying philosophy, as well as them trying to work with me and my hardcore slant. So, but it's actually a great accomplishment, I think, and it was really exciting to be able to explore that part of the psyche. I don't know, Trey, you said you had an interesting conversation lately too? With INFP, I think it was?
Oh, yeah, I actually did, yeah. What about it?
I just wanted to know, like, kind of what your realization was during that conversation, and kind of how it inspires you to produce more content and keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, so, you know, it's beautiful to see the different types and the way that they work in this world. And, you know, one thing that I've come across with INFPs, and it's what I, you know, absolutely love about INFPs, is that you talk to an INFP and they have problems, like, in their life. They're like, oh man, like, this is really like, I'm really struggling with this right now. And, you know, me being the ENTJ, I want to fix it. So I'm like, all right, well, what is it? And then they talk, and when they discuss their problems, there really is no problem, but there's like a huge problem, because for one, they're doing everything right. They are, you know, sticking with everything they believe in. They are like, it's like such a struggle, because at the same time their life is like taking a hard hit. Like, they're taking a hard hit because their life is like, because they're sticking to what they value, and they aren't like necessarily using that TE to position things in a way that could really benefit them in the long run. And so it's amazing, because you see the INFP, and they really do stick to that core value system throughout their life, but they'll, you know, there's happiness. And so it's really amazing to work, see, like, you really doing things that they are feel like this is right, but with them sacrificing their own happiness. And so it's amazing to see, you know, all the different dynamics of the way that people operate in the world, and just how, like, someone like me, where I'm the INFP's inferior function, that's my dominant function, and I can help them. And, you know, the inferior function is known as the soul or anima, right? So it's like the one thing that type hasn't had their whole life, really, because it's been such a struggle to use it. And so for that specific type to be that function, or have someone to help them with that, can really be beneficial to their growth. And so it's really amazing to see type interaction, and just the way that, you know, people are similar. For example, You know, my sister and my dad look completely different because they are an INFP and an INTP, but they pretty much perceive information the same way, and they're just perceiving different information and making decisions. Their like judgments are different, but it's the same basic way. Like when I hear them talk, their like structure is a little bit different, just because you hear like one person's more like filling in a lot of details when it comes to like just like data, and the other one's talking about like things that is upsetting them, and they're like filling in a lot of information on that, and there's a little bit more of like a emotional frequency there versus the other one that's sharp and objective. But it's like the same structure, underlying structure of like grammar and the way they speak and stuff like that, and just the way that they're like structure for their sentences is. It's really interesting to see that they are both perceiving information the same way, but it's just that there is a drastic change in the way that they make their decisions. And so it's interesting to see the way that, you know, some types can help each other grow and other types can, you know, totally butt heads because they're just entirely different. And SFJs tend to be that way for us, or SFPs. But you know, just because you can see the potential for people's growth, because they, you know, we all need each other. You know, when you've got some types that are some areas and some types that are strong in those same areas, and that's why it's beautiful to see that we really all do fit together in a really unique way, and we can all help each other quite a bit in developing, for one, not just our lives, but the world. You know, we can all work together to actually enhance the world and push us all forward. So I think it's a really cool thing to see lives impacted on a small scale, but then also see the potential for it to be a big scale change. So
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, and knowing that you can identify those differences and you can recognize where the communication went right and wrong with those things in mind. Whereas if you don't pay attention to Myers-Briggs, or you don't know about Myers-Briggs, you just think somebody's an idiot, or you just think you don't realize what's going on, and you can't realize those differences that people are able to see. And I think that's one of the beautiful parts about Myers-Briggs, because I can tell you my entire life, well, I can't say my entire life, but there was something different, and I never could figure it out. And I think Myers-Briggs actually pulled me out of that abyss. It was a very dark place when you realize that you think something's wrong with you and you don't know why you think the way that you do. And you're unable to classify or figure it out, or you're unable to understand yourself. And I think Myers-Briggs freed me from that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it to this day, is because there is so much to know and there's so much to understand. And it's not just putting someone in a box, and it's not just, you know, hey, it's limited. And I don't really like when people say on my channel, and I really wish I could get over it, but I don't really like when people say, oh, Socionics is better than Myers-Briggs, or Enneagram is more sophisticated than Myers-Briggs, or it goes more deep. And I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter, because Myers-Briggs saved my life. I mean, in the sense of me having freedom and understanding why I do the things I do, it's a lifesaver. So it really concerns me when I hear people say that they're not taking that into perspective, how passionate I am about Myers-Briggs and that particular room and growth, because that's where I really feel like the advantage of Myers-Briggs was. Well, it wasn't Socionics that changed my life. In fact, there's a lot of things I don't like about Socionics, and it wasn't Enneagram that changed my life. I found Enneagram interesting, but and I like Enneagram, but I just don't have the same connection with those two as I do with Myers-Briggs, and that's just pretty consistent across the board. And no matter what personality typing it is, Myers-Briggs has always caught my attention, regardless. And I think it's the most well thought out of all of them. And that's really subjective. That's really my opinion. I think it has more to it than any other personality type indicator in the world. And that's why it's also the #1 used personality type indicator in the world, is because of that. And there is so much to it. I mean, this is just a small piece of Myers-Briggs. Not to mention the books that I have over there, and then the other books that I have over there. And I mean, just it's crazy how much there is to learn about Myers-Briggs and how much we don't know. And that's why I said I don't want to represent them as Myers-Briggs. We just said Myers-Briggs. And that's what makes the channel really, really exciting for me, is because you can see, and that's why I leave the old videos up too. And even though I annotate the old videos, like, okay, this video is outdated, I leave it up because I want people to understand that we move through a process where we learn and grow. And I want people to see me 4 years ago and 5 years ago and realize that a lot of things I said were stupid. And I want people to see that those things change over time. I don't want to delete those videos. I don't want to remove them. I just want people to realize, okay, yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I've said stupid things. Yes, I said incorrect things. You know, and that's where I want people to see that process. And I don't think people will get that just by watching one of these videos, but they really get it by watching and understanding who we are as people, and kind of what we represent. And which is another overarching point that I want to tap on in this particular thing is I want to tap on education. I've talked about it in my TI videos, and that especially popular video of mine, why TI doesn't perform well in school, and or what troubles they have in school, why they have difficulty in school. And I feel that education is one of the prime reasons why. Let me start with this way. I think it starts with the family as what leads up to this cultural malfunction. And we all know and aware, or at least feel, this cultural malfunction, however we want to describe it. And I'm not going to describe it in this video, but I will tell you that if we all agree with this cultural malfunction, whatever it is, however we see the world, that it starts with family, and it involves education. And I feel like these are the two cornerstones which really, really are holding this dysfunction of society up, and they need to be addressed. And so that's one of the things I will be discussing on this channel as soon as I get the rest of my thoughts figured out. And as soon as we finish this function video and these type videos, I do feel like a lot of types are ignored on YouTube. Like a lot of the STs and SFs are ignored on YouTube. There's plenty of INFP videos, ENFP videos. You know, INFJs, they're rare, but there are plenty of INFJ videos. So all the intuitive types are all over Myers-Briggs on YouTube. Whereas the STs and SFs are very underrepresented, and it's because Myers-Briggs is very theoretical, and there's a lot of information there, and it's not as appealing to the S-types. So I do want to start representing those as well, not as a sensing-oriented person myself, but helping people who do have the interest in Myers-Briggs understand a little more about their own personal sensing type. So with, I didn't know if you had any commentary, so I paused for a minute.
Yeah, so I guess I do have a little bit, you know, because the thing is, I think that it's been kind of harder to study sensing dominant types or sensing auxiliary types, because when you talk with a sensing type, they usually don't preference you know, theoretical concepts and stuff. And what I usually do is you know, my NI will like activate or something, and I'll ask someone a question like, is this the kind of thing that was like running through your mind? Like, did you ask these questions, or did you say this or whatever? To kind of understand their thought process. And a sensing dominant or a sensing auxiliary type may not, you know, do that or be able to explain that in the detail that I like. And so it's harder to like get a grasp on the sensing types. But I do have this little brother that's an ESTP, so I get to experiment a little bit with him. And the other day, he surprised me, and we really got into talking about it a little bit more, because I applied it to his current situation where he was upset about something. And then he asked me questions, and we actually started talking for a while, and it was interesting because I was like, you know why I always think you're manipulating me, right? And I explained why. And, you know, I was like, you'll probably get better, and I probably won't think that when you get older. And it's just because, you know, he's storing this information as to, you know, how to get a certain specific desired outcome. He wants to feel it, you know, and so it's like for my dad or whatever, you know, I look at him, he'll go up to my dad, talk to him about a specific thing to make my dad happy. And I see that, I'm like, oh, he's just doing that for a pat on the back. You know what I mean? And for me, I see that as manipulation in my mind. However, for him, he's just trying to feel that. He just wants to feel that. So in his mind, he has a logical structure of the world as to all the different ways that he can do something and all the different perspectives that he can tackle. It's like a very thorough and deep understanding of how to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
and so it's not necessarily manipulation, but for me, I would call it that. So, you know, I do get to experiment a little bit in that, but I could understand where, you know, there's not a lot of people covering sensing types.
Yeah, the big famous ESTP closed his YouTube channel, and there are plenty of memorial videos all over YouTube for that.
Really? I don't even follow him.
Yeah, well, they're random YouTubers who are like, this is in honor of EJ R&D.
Oh, EJ R&D was ESTP?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he
I
was
thought he was an
ESTP.
EJ type.
Yeah, no, he was. I think he meant DJ and he hit EJ. I don't know what the story behind that is.
Yeah, he always said DJ, and I was like, what?
Yeah, but it's EJ as his channel. I don't know. Maybe he closed it because it wasn't spelled right. Who knows? Like,
no. I think
but,
I think I heard that he admitted that he was actually he had actually gone crazy, because I was actually subscribed to him even when he like left YouTube, and I watched a lot of his really weird videos, and I mean, no shame on the guy. He was having some moments, so he admitted to having a problem, and he said that he was seeking psychiatric help, and that's the last anyone ever heard of him. So,
well, we wish him the best in the sense of
definitely.
like, because he actually started this whole YouTube MBTI thing. In my opinion, it was his videos that I watched originally, and I give him a lot of credit because I found it like, wow, he actually took it a little deeper than what I was reading in books. I was like, wow, he's taking it to another level. Not that he was 100% accurate, but he really tried to explore the aspects of it, and he actually was able to make more of an application. This is how it appears in this situation, or this is how it appears in this situation. And the guy was funny at times, and so I really thought it was quite amusing. And it's his contributions. Obviously, he had a lot of subscribers, and people really obviously appreciated his content, even though he pissed a lot of people off at the same time. But that's what ESTPs do. You got to appreciate them for what they do. Is they like to push buttons, and they just don't generally care if they piss people off, and they've chosen to piss you off. They don't care if they piss you off. And so, in a nutshell, I think it's really cool that I do give him credit for kind of kicking this whole thing off and getting people really diving in deep, at least on YouTube, and just making it to where it had an application. And I think that was what inspired me originally to start making videos, is because I was like, wow, if he can create some application, I think I can take my own slant and create application as well. So
Yeah, I actually started my channel because I looked at my this is like window of opportunity for me. I looked at my personality type, and I was like, 1.8% of the population? It's like, man, they probably want to know all about me. And so I started making videos.
yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about, wow, I'm only 1.8%. That must be me. They must want to know what the heck goes through my head. And for some reason, some people like to listen to me, and I never knew why.
And that's the funny thing, is I actually didn't know anything about Myers-Briggs, and my first videos were literally like, oh, like how to tell if an ENTJ likes you. And I just talked about myself. Not necessarily like actually.
I remember that video. You were like 15 or something in that video.
Oh my gosh, man. It's still there, and I hate it, because I was like, I didn't know what I was talking about. I was underdeveloped, and
I remember watching that video at first when I first got on YouTube, and I was like, what is this kid talking about? I was like, this guy is nuts. I think, what is he? I mean, he's being so general and so vague.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I don't even remember what the video. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure that the video was actually about something currently happening. So it didn't even necessarily relate to all situations. It was like very specific to my current situation. So
yeah, you were really just projecting your situation onto YouTube. It's cool. It happens to the best of us.
I need to delete it. I need to take it off.
I just talked about how you keep videos for growth purposes. But granted, you were like a kid when you made that video. Now you're a grown-ass man.
Yeah. I do need to take it off, though, because like people still comment, and they like even on my ENTJ thoughts on INTJs, it's like that video is really bad too, and people watch it, and I'm like, why are you watching that? Like, I made a new INTJ video. It's really great. You should watch that one. And I don't even know if people ever do watch it, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, why do people comment on my old videos and say, hey, you're wrong? Like, yeah, that's why I made a new video.
Yeah. Like, I got like a really long comment on my old video, and I was like, I just linked them to my other video.
That's my new way of deferring people who comment on my old videos. You just link. You don't say anything. You just put a link on there and be like, yep, that's the way it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not efficient not to argue with somebody about a point you already agree with them on. Just send them a link and like say, hey, now you can argue because there's a new video. And people are probably like wondering, why the hell do these guys leave these videos up? Like, why don't they delete them if they're out of date?
Well,
See,
I mean,
it's not always practical. See, you got to remember, if you look at the ENTJ facets, I'm going to share something with you guys real quick, just so you guys can see this. Hang on one second. I do want you guys to see this. So you should be able to see my screen. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually my interpretive report for step 2. And so everybody can see.
I have not seen this yet.
So everybody can see kind of what's happening here. And you'll see that facets do change. And I obviously have this very contained side to me. And most people are like, dang, he doesn't say anything. Like he really doesn't like to talk about.
I'm like the most expressive person on my channel.
Yeah, like and whereas I also don't prefer to initiate, and there's reasons why, and I can explain these reasons, but I don't need to or go through this. But my point is, if you look at this right here, sensing versus intuition, you can see that I have a clear preference for intuition. Obviously, it's pretty clear. The only one that's kind of deferred is I answer both sides of the spectrum because I do like practical application, but I still like the idea-oriented intellectual concepts. So I answered kind of a mixed match on those. And what I'm trying to get to here, and the point is I'm making, is that I leave these videos up because I'm looking at not what's practical, but I'm looking at the concept of understanding and growing and learning. And I want people to see that concept with time, and that's what I'm focused on. So just to give you guys, I bet you all are wondering what the rest of my facets look like. So I'm just going to give you a brief run through real quick, and I'm just going to let you look at some of the facets on my particular thing. So you have a pretty clear preference for J and T, intuition pretty clear. Obviously, the only out of preference facet I have is being contained, whereas my other preferences very much look like ENTJ. And if you look at the very end of this document, what you'll see is where other ENTJ scored, the blue bar being the average, where the average ENTJ scores. And I say the average as in the bulk of them, where the mass of them scores. And then the shaded area being what the range is, and then the number being where I scored. So you can see pretty much I was in facet with almost everything except for these two right here. And that's basically the only thing that makes me out of that. And the polarity index, which shows consistency in my answers, and it tells you, this facet tells you that what makes me unique in my type is being a contained ENTJ. So let me see here.
I wonder what mine says.
So that's kind of an overview. That's why step 2 is also really important, because it does give you those facets. And I will take it in a few years again to see where I've changed or my facets have changed and my personality has changed. And that's a big part of what I'm looking at doing, is I'm looking forward to being able to do that.
Oh, you know what? Mine doesn't actually say anything that makes me different. It just says in preference.
Yeah, so Trey is obviously just your run-of-the-mill ENTJ. He's not any different. That foolish. Yeah, I'm just kidding. So, but yeah, so that's Trey's pretty much in preference on everything. I'm just contained. So a lot of people ask me, they're like, wow, are you introverted? Because you don't say crap about what you're thinking. And I was like, well, that actually came with time, because previously I used to tell people my exciting ideas, and I was like, oh, you got to hear this, check this out. People are just like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I've learned
just got done smoking weed.
Like, yeah, like, this guy's nuts. Like, what is he talking about? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's really. And I used to be really expressive. Like, okay, so check this out. And I used to go into these ideas, and they're like,
yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and then I was like, you know what? Screw these people. And I was like, I'm gonna keep my ideas to myself.
I'd probably still do it. Probably because I'm a 3, maybe. I don't know, trying to look good.
Well, it really changed for me about 24 years old.
Oh, so.
Yeah, pretty recent. Like in the last 3 years, it really changed for me, because I just said, you know what, waste of time. Why do I need to share this when these people don't really even have any direct influence or matter on this particular idea anyway? So I just keep it to myself. I also don't like to roll things out early to where people can kind of hear the formulation phase, because it doesn't sound like I'm clear on the idea. I want to deliver an idea where it sounds like I pretty much know what's happening.
Well, you know, there's something interesting that comes with discussing with people too. You know, one time I was really thinking about like the idea of introverted intuition so I can make a video. And I talked to this guy on the bus about introverted intuition, and he didn't really know like anything about Myers-Briggs at all, but I was like talking to him about it. And he actually gave me some really awesome information, because whatever I was talking about made him remember, reminded him of like this dream he had where somebody, like his uncle or something, died in a specific spot a certain way, and then it happened in real life at that same spot in that same way. And it was interesting because it made me remember he had asked me like the way that dreams work because of that, because of what had happened to him. That, like me talking about introverted intuition made him think about like how dreams work and like why he was able to like figure that out. And it was an interesting connection because it reminded me I had seen a Vsauce video a long time ago where where they had talked about where dreams come from. And basically, what happens is throughout your day, everything is categorized into some stuff that is important to remember, or things that you need to be reminded, and then things that don't make any sense and are just kind of trash. Now, that trash stuff eventually, basically gets picked up by your mind and the subconscious mind, and you start to dream about it. That's what that information does. Your brain's trying to make use of the information. So it was really interesting because he predicted in his dream what was going to happen. And people do that every once in a while. They'll have a dream predicting what happens. So that is very similar to introverted intuition in the sense that it had created a story out of sensing data that they had picked up. And so I was able to put that in my introverted intuition video because of something weird that this kid had thought of, that he didn't know what I was talking about, so he came up with something to like ask me a question. He was trying to make it relevant to what I said, and it really ended up being like pretty significant in the video. So but yeah, most of the time I don't get crap from people. So
yeah, I think we're going to start getting a lot more crap because we're going to put a lot more controversial topics on here. And I think that's a good thing. I think these things need to be discussed, and I think people sweep them under the rug because they're not bold enough to say it. And I think that's one of the things that is going to help change things the way that we're doing it currently. And that's what one of my objectives is to make sure that we're addressing these topics. And again, I'm not going to try to lecture people. I do have videos and I do warn people. I label them with a rant when it becomes a lecture. But as far as like just content, I will label anything that I feel is like a rant as a rant. So that way people know that it's very likely to me being pissed off about something in the world, and then going from there. So Trey, you disappeared. Oh, there you go. So anyway, let's wrap up this call. And like I said, we'll hopefully get you guys some content here in the next few days. I posted a few videos today just to get it out of the way, so that way you guys have some content to look at. My SE video, I didn't do it in the format I originally wanted to, but I realized that I'm not going to put as much time into these videos as I need to, and I just don't have that time. So I just said, you know what, I need to get this content out. And as is, without editing, it's 45 minutes long. And so, and that's actually me talking really fast too. So if I would have done it the way I would have done it, it would have been probably an hour and a half long. So I'm glad I did it the way that I did it, and I wouldn't change it because it can be too long. I actually put a table of contents in there too, where you can click through the different sections. That way you can cut through to the information you really want instead of hearing me talk for 45 minutes. That's the objective. So that SC video is on the channel. You should have access to that, as well as Trey's going to be doing MBTI typing. He'll be looking at different people's types who may be confused. I believe he's offered some reasonable rates for people as well, which is going to help get you guys off the ground if you're confused about your type. Trey, any last commentary?
Yeah, we're ENTJs and we're cool. So follow us and
speak for yourself. Yeah, thanks, Trey. All right, we'll talk to you later.